Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Loss, Loving Life with Karen Chaston. I'm Karen Chaston, and as you can see, I'm not in my usual studio, my usual loft, because I am in Sydney. I am here in lockdown, like many of my listeners and viewers, and thank you for being here. But today we are going to have an adventure. We're going to deep dive into a couple of different things. But first of all, I would like to say welcome. Welcome to the 12th of July in Australia. It is a very sunny day in Sydney, and I have to say I walked this morning with my daughter along Manly Beach. There's allowed to be two people walking at the moment, and we got gifted with the most amazing sunrise. And I really should have put it here in the chat. But you know what? After, I will post a picture in the chat of this sunrise that we had this morning, because it was absolutely amazing. The colors were amazing. And I have to say, if you're not in the habit of getting up early and enjoying a sunrise, I highly recommend that you do it. So as always, let me get myself organized so that I can see the comments. Where have I gone? I've lost everything now, isn't it? Don't you just love technology? But anyway, we are where we are, and I can see I've got a few highlights. Through highs. Hi, Rosina. Hi, Tam. And hi, Christine. Great to have you here. Christine, how are you going with the Revitalize Your Life 45-day program? Let me know. I'd love to know where you're at. Now, just to let you know, if I sort of freeze or whatever, I'll keep talking, because my internet here is not as fast and as robust as what it is in my home. But that's okay. We are here and we are live and we are doing it. So, Christine, let me know how you're going. So today, before I come on, now, as most of my regular viewers, listeners know, I don't give you guidance. I give you guidance in a different way. I don't give you spiritual guidance in telling you what to do. I give you tools to assist you to move beyond any kind of loss and create your better everyday life. And that's what I love to do. And I love deep diving into it. But I do always draw a card. And today, as most times, let me get an interview. I have drawn from the Channel Spiritual Guidance cards by Marcia Quinton. And today, two of them jumped out at me. So we're going to deep dive into two, not at the same time, but let's go into them. So the first one that came was the Creator, number one. And, you know, the Creator is creating all of our experiences after all. Sure, we are the creator of our experiences, and we are one with everything in the universe, each other, and all of the plants, animals, nature, with everything within the universe. So once we understand that, life does get a little bit easier. And I guess you go into a little bit of whatever will be, will be. And that's what I'm going through at the moment. I have been in Sydney since the 23rd of June, and I was only meant to be here till the 27th of June. And here we are, the 12th of July, and I'm still in a dilemma. Do I fly back to Queensland and then be forced to go into lockdown for 14 days? Or do I just wait it out in Sydney? Now, I have family and friends in Sydney, and I'm so gifted to be able to be spending time with a friend and her beautiful son, and also seeing my daughter, Dali. Now, there's no room at my daughter's house for me to go and stay with her and her three children, but I can still catch up with her. We can go for walks. So I'm going to read the Creator card first, and then I'm going to deep dive into the topic. And then before we finish our session today, I'm going to go into the second card. So the first card is the Creator. Master and keeper of the universal light. The great Creator has stepped into your realm of life today and has brushed against your path, touching all that you are. He seeks to unfold himself to you. Sit quietly in meditations or in silence, and he will come to you and open a channel to communicate through you in life. His radiance is glowing and surrounds you like a golden flame. Feel, know, and absorb the gift he brings. As the curtains part, He informs you of your mission. It might feel like a burden to shoulder, but he will help you to lessen the load. He reminds you that there is always choice. You may choose to walk with this path or choose another. So, even though the Creator has designed a path for us, and let's face it, we were involved in designing that path, He also gives us choice. So, it's always up to us whether we choose to walk that path or whether we choose to change it. Possibly, even if we do, ending up in exactly where we're meant to be, just further down the road. So it's really good for us to understand that and to embrace it. So that is our little message, or one of our messages for the day. And I'll put the other one to the side. So today, because I'm in lockdown and still being able to work and do all of my amazing things, where I do, I'm a life coach. I help people to move beyond any kind of loss. But more importantly, I am also a speaker and an author, and I've still been able to do that because you have to love the world that we live in. Hi, Kylie, and hi, Candace. Great to see you here. So it is, it's always great to understand that we're in a world exactly where we're meant to be, and we can, be wherever we want to be at any time in our life, which is so amazing when we embrace that. So today I have decided, let me just move my slides on a little bit. So today I have decided that what I'd like to talk to you about is the 5 agreements. Now, let me know if you've ever read the book, The 4 Agreements, right? And this is the next book, which is called The 5 Agreements by Dom, I'm going to get his right. So Don Miguel Reese, R-I-U says. So Rees, I think it's Reese. And his books are amazing because they actually give you these 4 agreements initially. Fantastic book. Yes, it is. So I've now gone into the 5th of the 5 agreements, so he's added one more agreement to it. And I read the 4 agreements probably 6-7 years ago. And I have to say that when I started reading the 5th agreement, he actually says that the more you read the book, the more you'll get out of it. And of course, the more that we move along in our life and along in our awareness, we will, of course, come to more understanding. And reading the same words that we may have read even a week ago or a month ago, or in my case, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, I really got a completely different meaning for these 5 agreements. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to just tell you what the 5 agreements are, but then we're going to deep dive into the first one. And then over the next 5 weeks or 4 more weeks, we're going to deep dive into the other 4. Each week we're going to just pick up one and go into it, because I feel I'd be doing a disservice if I just really quickly went through the whole 5 of them today. And I'd love for you to share your ideas. And I know that you can only share your ideas through typing the messages, but that's okay. It's exactly how it's meant to be. So let's have a look. Let me just bring up this. And okay, so here are the 5 agreements. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Right. So I'm just going to tell you what they are, and then we're going to deep dive into them over the next, 4 more weeks after today. The second one is don't take anything personally. The third is don't make assumptions. The 4th is always do your best. And the 5th is be skeptical, but learn to listen. Now, I have to say, with where we are in the world at the moment, it's really, really easy to be skeptical. There's so much going on in the world that it's really hard to just go, surely there's something else going on. Surely it's not just as simple as, the whole world has been infected by this virus and we're all in lockdown, or we're all at different stages. They have this virus and, it's totally up to you whether you take it or not. And I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to sort of say I really love the 5th agreement when it was be skeptical, but learn to listen. And it's really amazing that when you actually go, be skeptical, but learn to listen. So that means that you're skeptical, but a lot of times we're skeptical, but we're in a state where we're trying to answer and trying to put our viewpoint, our skepticism into whatever we're hearing. Whereas this one's actually say, yeah, sure, be skeptical, but learn to listen. So listen to all of the facts, and there will always be contradictory facts, but listen to them all and then form your own opinion. And so not just take everything at its face value, but to actually go from there. So, yeah, but I'm not going to go deep dive into that. But before I go on to the first agreement of the 5 agreements, I'm just going to have a look. Maria, how fitting the agreements were popping in my mind this morning. I have that book, but not read. Glad to catch your live. Lucky. Now, Maria, isn't that amazing? And thank you for sharing that. I'll just pop that up so that everyone can see what Maria has written. And it is, you know what, there are no coincidences in life. And you just sort of think, I was thinking about the book this morning. I haven't read it yet. And now here I am talking about it. So, Maria, that is another tick for you to say, maybe I better start deep diving into the book, because I'm sure that you will also come to maybe the similar viewpoint to I have, or maybe a different one, because let's face it, where we are in life really does interpret where we are. And I'm not saying I'm in a better place or a worse place than you. I'm just saying it's where we're at. And that's how we always interpret so many different things. So it's really important that I highly suggest, and I don't get anything out of suggesting this book, just so it's all really clear. I am not on commission by recommending this book. I'm just in a position where I love to read books. I love to read books that challenge your way of thinking, that open you up to new ideas. And really, at the end of the day, what they actually do is they help you to remember. We've all come into this world with a memory of our past lives, what this life is all about. And through life, we slowly move further and further and further away from that memory. But then as we tend to get older and we start to question our life, and a lot of the questions are, why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my joy? What is my fulfillment? And as we go searching for that, that's when we find these amazing books that will help us to see life a little bit differently. They will assist us to actually come to a place where we can really honor who we are, and we can honor everything that has happened to us, and we can also honor where we are in life and how we can enhance it in so many different ways. And as I said, I'm staying with a friend who has a little boy, and this is Olau, who has decided to pop in here and say hello to everyone, but that's okay. So say hi, Olau, and then off you go. Bye. Bye. So, yes, as we know, all of the kids in New South Wales are on holidays. So that's what's happening at the moment. And it's all right. It's been at that stage. So let's deep dive into what we're going to be talking about today, which is the first agreement. So let me come back here. And there we are. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your words. Now, this is not only the words that you say out loud, but it's also the words that you say to yourself. Like, so often we are so cruel in the things that we say to ourselves, the way we value ourselves, the way we believe in ourselves, even sometimes, the way we berate ourselves and put ourselves down and not love who we are, not love our body, no matter what our body looks like. And it's, we don't honor where we are in life, and we don't honor the journey that we've been on to get to who we are today. So Let's deep dive into these amazing agreements by, as I said, Don Miguel Ruiz. Ruiz. I'm going to say Ruiz. I hope I'm saying it right. I should have actually listened to it before I came on. And isn't that amazing that we can actually go in and like click on it and it will tell us exactly how to pronounce it. But anyway, speak with integrity. So I'm asking you, do you always speak with integrity? The words that are coming out, are they, are they really what you mean? Or are you saying things to get a rise out of someone, to, just to trigger someone, to be flippant or sarcastic? And, I really would love you to sort of deep dive into this part of the 5 agreements and actually figure out exactly, how you can always be impeccable with your words. And I have to say, it's not easy. It really does help you to make sure that you always know that your intention. So before you even open your mouth and say something, is what is the intention of you saying this? And when you can answer that, and when you know that there is always an honorable intention, you will always be impeccable with your words. And it really is that simple. And that's what I love about these agreements. It is something to concentrate on every day. And, the more that you actually practice this, the more that you will actually find that, 80, 90% of your life, you are always being impeccable with your words. You're being open and honest, and you're saying how you feel. You're not putting anyone else down. Okay. So say only what you mean, and so often it's really, we say things and we don't mean them. Maybe because we've been out drinking for the night and this thing pops out. Or it could be just that we're in a bad mood and we want to put everyone else in a bad mood, or we're just grabbing everyone else's energy because we're low on energy. And when we understand how to naturally top ourselves up and become more energetic, we don't need to deplete other people's energy along the way. And that's what is really important for us to always know. So the next one is avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Now, isn't that amazing? Avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. And so true, Christine. Your words are so powerful. And it's, they're very powerful, but it's also about realizing the words that you're saying, because sometimes, and at the way most of us were taught at school, we were taught a necessity language as opposed to a possibilities language. So a lot of the times we limit ourselves without even realize by the words that we say. Things like I can't, whereas if you just changed I can't to maybe I can do that, as opposed to I can't. You can see the difference in the energy of those words, can't versus maybe. One is just so definitive, as in, well, I'm not doing it. Whereas the other one is, well, I'll possibly, I'll give it a go and I'll see if I can or if I can't. And it's really important. Exactly, Christine. What you project out is what you attract back. So being impeccable with your words is that you always have an intention with the words that you're using. So therefore you're intentionally having the words come back to you in the way that you would like to be. And then, of course, the last little explanation of how to be impeccable with your words is use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Now, I'm going to say that again. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Now, isn't that amazing when you think about it, right? So if you're always being impeccable with your words and you're always using them with an intention of guiding towards truth and love, imagine the world if every single person did that. Imagine if we only spoke our truth and our love. Sure, we'd probably be very vulnerable at times, but it's in the vulnerability that we really do connect more with everyone else. And that's why it's really important for us to understand that the more impeccable we are with our words, the more other people will be. So I'm going to share a little story with you now. So I'm going to come back here. But before I do, I'm just going to take a little drink. Now, those of you who have been with me for a while, a lot of you may know my story and why I'm in Sydney. So I'm going to share it with you because it's the truth. And magical things have happened since I honored and I did. My intention was for love and for truth. So let's deep dive into it. So when I was 16, and that was a long time ago, nearly 48 years ago, I gave birth to my daughter and I adopted her out. And she has been in my life for the past 20 years. But as you may imagine, it's been a very volatile relationship, very up and down, very, wanting me wanting to be in her life and her not so sure. And, obviously we both had some abandonment issues in the fact that I felt that I had, even though I always believed that I did the right thing by my child, to give her to a family who could look after her. And I was 16. It's, wasn't always the best decision from my point of view. And then obviously from her, she had an amazing life. Like seriously, she had nothing to complain about. But as she said, there was this, like this silver thread that attached me to her and her to me. And so we had like this pull from the time she was born, to be quite honest, from the time she was in my womb. And we always had that attachment, but we also didn't know how to really trust each other because let's face it, she was born and her mother gave her away. So, trust is probably very hard for a lot of adopted children, which you may understand. So we've been up and down but anyway, over the last 3 years when I moved from Sydney to Queensland, our relationship, believe it or not, even though before we lived quite within 10 k's of each other, and we didn't have the relationship that I'm now having now. I know you got to move away to sometimes get it. But anyway, so we have started to be more open and honest with each other. And because it's like we got to a stage where I'm like, I just can't doing this. I can't keep doing this. I want a relationship with you. I don't want to be your mother, but I want to be your friend. I want to be able to just pick you up without having angst in my heart going, is she going to answer the phone? Is she not going to answer the phone? Is she going to talk to me? All this sort of stuff. As you do with friends, like you just pick up the phone, you just talk to them. So that's where we got to. So anyway, in the end of June, I flew to Sydney to meet with my mother because we'd never really had a three-way conversation about my mother's choice when I was 16. Let's face it, my parents were the adults in the relationship. Not that I'm blaming them at all, because I know that I've always had a voice, may not have always used it, but I also know that if I had chosen, my parents would have supported me. So that's why I'm not going to blame my parents entirely. So we had a three-way conversation, and then the two of us went away for a couple of days, and then Sydney went into lockdown. So then I've been in the, well, will I stay in Sydney or will I go back? Now, where I'm staying with my girlfriend is actually, it's only like 4 kilometers away from where my daughter lives. So we have been walking every day, and we have, over the time, we have exponentially improved our relationship. And of course, I'm now in the dilemma as well. Like they look like Sydney lockdown's going to continue. And I'm like still in the same dilemma. Will I go back and do the 2 weeks in quarantine, or will I stay here and just, wait it out? It could be another month. Who knows? But at the end of the day, even though I have my family and my other grandchildren in Queensland, I also have my daughter here and her children. So I'm sort of like, what do I do? What do I do? All this sort of stuff. And this is where I really love the be impeccable with your words, because my daughter and I weren't always vulnerable. We weren't always open and honest. We would say things and then the other would misinterpret them, but we never clarified. And which is another one, which is, I think it's the third or the fourth agreement, the third agreement, which we will come to in a couple of weeks, where it's, which is don't make assumptions. And so often, we would say things thinking that what we said was interpreted by the other person as we intended. So there was a lot of misunderstandings that caused probably our relationship to not come together as quickly as what we would have liked. Now, I'm sharing this with you so that you can understand that when you choose to be impeccable with your word, you are always, coming from a place of trust and love. But you also will clarify with other people, what did you hear? You know, explain to me what I just said, because your reaction is maybe not the reaction I expected from what I said. And sometimes we misinterpret it and we just go into that phase of, oh, they don't understand me. So we have more and more and more misunderstandings, so that we are not open. Then we close down even more because we don't want to be impeccable with our words because of this. So that's why I, have really deep dived into the 5 agreements, and I'm sharing with you over the next few weeks. Hi, Kerry. Great to see you here. Now, Christine, what you project out is what you attract back. And it's so true. And this is what I love about the things that I share is, my journey has been a long journey, and most of you know the losses that I've had in my life, and I'm just sharing another one with you today. And it's never easy to deep dive into your losses, to find out what the beauty and the gem is. So I'm here to say that, no matter what is going on in your life, you can always deep dive into it and find the gems. And that's what I love about these 5 agreements, because they are amazing. So let me bring it back up for the people who just come in. So today we're talking about the 5 agreements, and we're deep diving into the first one. Over the next 4 weeks, we will do the next 4 agreements. But today we're doing be impeccable with your words. So let's, make sure that you speak with integrity. You say only what you mean. You avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Now, this is such an important one. The way we speak to ourselves is so much, degrading, unnecessary. We're so much meaner at times to ourselves than we ever were to anyone else. So think about it. If you spoke to your best friend the way that you speak to yourself, how long would she be your best friend, or he be your best friend? It's, you just got to start to look at life from that way, and start to catch yourself when you start berating yourself, or you start complaining that you have a little bit of weight on here, or you've got a pimple and you don't look as attractive today as what you did yesterday, or whatever it is that you're berating yourself about. The fact that you didn't do as much work today is because you didn't feel as well as what you could have yesterday. Start to really deep dive into everything that's happening in you, and you'll start to realize that you are the most amazing person. You are perfectly imperfect. And I just love that phrase to describe all human beings, that we are perfectly imperfect. And, I read, and it may have even been in this book, but I read recently this most amazing thing, that do you think a tree looks at itself and goes, oh my God, this isn't as perfect. I don't look as good as that tree over there. I'm, a completely different shape to what that tree is. And that tree looks so tall and thin and amazing. Whereas I've got a lot of bulbs around me, and I've got more branches, and I look completely different. Do you think a tree spends any time about worrying about that? No, the tree just blossoms in the way that they are, knowing that everything that they're doing, and most of it is innately, and it's the same with us. Most of us, it is innately the things that we do. We don't even know that we're digesting food when we're digesting food. So sometimes we may if we've eaten way too much, but let's, be honest. We just do these amazing things and we don't even know that we're doing them. But so often we bring ourselves down. So start to notice that when you are bringing yourself down through the way that you think, through the words that you choose to use about yourself, that's when it's time for you to go, no. And also, with the other one, which the other part of that is gossiping about others. So often we get off on doing gossiping about others, but let's think about it. Like, is it the things we're gossiping about, are they even true? It's probably come, all the way down from, and it's lost its, meaning and its translation in the amount of people who have actually said this, that we don't even know if it's true. So when you feel yourself that it's time to start gossiping, why don't you ask the person, are you aware that this is what people are saying? And you can say, is it true? Or you can say, I just thought you'd like to know. You may choose to do something about it, because we don't even know. Sometimes people think by gossiping about others, it makes them more. How can it? This is what this is about. And then, of course, the last one is use the power of your words in the direction of truth and love. So that if you wake up each morning with an intention of, all I'm going to do is be truthful and to love. Everything that I do, I'm going to bring my truth and my love into it. Everything that I say is going to have truth and love. I'm not going to divert by it's gone off board, but oh, I'm back, so that's okay. Down always with keeping my word to myself. Then I read this book and it changed my life. It's so true, Christine. It is about knowing your intention for yourself each day and how you can, as I said, have an intention today, truth and love, truth and love. And if you find that you're in a job or you're in a role where you don't really love it, and you're dragging yourself out of bed each day to go to this role, today is the time for you to set an intention of, or a mark in your calendar on when you are going to leave that job, because it's really hard to get up each day and to have truth and love if you find that you're lying to yourself, you're only there for the money, and you don't love your job. So today is the day that you put a mark in your calendar. It doesn't matter if it's in a month's time, 6 months' time, a year, 5 years, 10 years' time. Put that mark in the calendar that says, I'm going to leave this job in this date. And then in the meantime, let's say it is 5 years, then you're going to figure out what is a job that you could actually love to do, that you could really, really get your teeth into and jump out of bed every morning before the alarm goes out, because you just know that it's so amazing. And then you figure out what you require, what skills you need, what joy you will need, even if it's a new car or whatever you need, so that you can resign from this job and start this new job. It may be some sort of training. It may be some new skills. It could be anything. But you are the one who knows the answer to these questions. So spend some time today finding your truth and finding the love of what you would love to do for your job. And then figure out the skills that you acquire, figure out how you can get them, and set your daily action plan on how you can achieve all of those goals so that you can start that new role in whatever time it is. And that's what it is. Yeah. And see, Kerry's come out and she says, yes, looking into change early retirement. Exactly. Isn't that amazing, Kerry? And it is about you sitting down and planning, how you can ensure that your retirement is the most amazing thing, so that you are not limited by money all of the time, that you will be able to find the loves and be able to go and do them. And the beautiful thing is, there's one thing about the pandemic and being in lockdown is that you actually realize how little you require, how little that you need to spend your money on, and how much most of us, myself included, have wasted money over the years on feeling that, I require this new jacket, I require this, $10 bottle of wine or $100 bottle of wine or whatever it is. And you start to realize that how little we require, and how silly we are, judging ourselves on others and gossiping. Oh my God, they can't afford $100 wine and I can, and all this sort of BS. So that's what I love to share with you. And I feel that I'm just about at the end of it. So I'm going to bring it up one more time. Is there any more questions? Because I'm very aware that where I am, my internet is not as stable as where I am when I'm normally at home on the Gold Coast. But I am loving my time down in Sydney. And I think more than likely over the next 4 weeks, I'll probably be doing it from here. But you'll be the first to know when I am back on the sunny Gold Coast. But I have to say, it is quite nice in Sydney today. So today we have talked about the first of the 5 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it is be impeccable with your words. So speak with integrity, say only what you mean, and make sure the intention of what you mean is not you being mean, okay? It's you coming from your trust and your truth and your love. And let's face it, when we always come from there, we're going to have so much joy and fulfillment in our life. But more importantly, everyone else will go, wow. When they speak their truth and their love, just look at how great their life has become. And that's what I want. And it's that simple, is to always speak without being mean. Avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. That is so important. So are there any more questions? And Kerry, I've just reread your note again. Good on you for, planning your early retirement. I know that you haven't been all that well over the past few months. So I'm hope that you are feeling great. So is there anything else that I can share with you today before, as always, Christine, I'd love for your comment. I know Kerry has been through my Beyond Loss, my Revitalize Your Life program, the 45 days, and Christine's currently going through it. So I'd love any feedback, any suggestions. As always, I will post the link in here if anyone's interested, because it's, over 45 days in the Revitalize Your Life. We deep dive into you. We deep dive into how giving you 45 different activities over 45 days, one each day, where you can just deep dive into you, where you can find you, so that you can actually come up with your own agreements on how you'd like to live your life and what is the best way. And thank you, Kerry, for saying it was a great course and you enjoyed it. You were one of the very first ones to go through it, which was amazing, and I loved it. I loved creating it. And to be quite honest, even now and then I start, writing down different little ones, and I will come up with a bonus section for people that I will send out to them probably in about a couple of months. I'll probably add, 10 to 15 more of them to it, because it was so much fun creating that course. It was a great activity, and I've had such great feedback from everyone who's been through it. So if there's nothing else today that we'd like to share, I am going to sign off and wish you well. I will see you here again next week, where we will be going through the second agreement of the 5 agreements. And it's amazing to always have you here. So if there is nothing else, any more comments? Doesn't look like it. But as I said, I will post a copy of my morning sunrise. So thank you for today, and I'll see you again next week. Make sure that you make every day meaningful, memorable, and magical. Oh, it's not going to play. Must have to take the banner off. Interesting, because my final, my didn't want to play. So let me try now.